Hello everyone, this is Daniel and welcome back to Project Obelisk. Now today, as promised, I'd like to take a closer look at the technical details of this project. There is a lot to cover, so of course we won't be looking at everything in this video, but for today I'd like to take a closer look at characters and the gameplay ability system that is implemented here. Now this will be a little bit scary for those who are not too used to programming, but I would like to give a little bit more insight into how I'm implementing things at the moment. So the first thing that I would like to share with you is the OB stands for Obelisk, by the way, entity pawn class, which is based on obviously the pawn and the ability system interface, which we'll get to in a bit. This is basically just a regular pawn to which we add a couple of things. First of all, we add here an ability system component, and we have an attribute set. Also, because we're implementing the ability system interface for that component, we also need to override the getAbilitySystemComponent function, which just returns this ability system component. So really not much going on here, but we can take a quick look at these classes as well. There's nothing inside of here. This is just a placeholder for now, so it's just your default ability system component. But we also have the attribute set, where I have lots of attributes that our character will be using for various, battle stats and all the gameplay logic. So we have here, for example, health, maximum health, attack spread, defense, lots of things. I won't go into too much detail, but they will be important in the future. So let's just return to the editor for now. So keep in mind, our base class is OBEntityPawn. So here we are back in the editor, and you'll see that in my character folder, I have now a blueprint entity, where this one is of course based on the C++ class that I just showed you. And here you can see we have our ability system component. There's not much going on in here, and most of it is honestly just for testing purposes, but I'll give you a quick introduction to it. We have first of all a variable called allAbilities, which we just loop through and on begin play just grant all of these abilities to the character so that we can use them for testing. I also have a little bit of a shortcut that honestly it really wasn't necessary to do this, but well, I can call it from outside and I can try to activate an ability using the gameplay tag provided here. Last but not least, I have two event dispatchers on here that basically broadcast a signal to other systems that are signed up to these events on end of the turn and when the character dies. I should mention perhaps that these characters are spawned through a separate battle manager component, and so the battle manager is the one who gets informed about when the character is done with their turn or when the character dies, so that the battle manager can either initiate the next round or first get rid of the character and then go to the next round or end the game, or do all of these things. We have two more functions down here that I override, basically handling what happens when the character is possessed or unpossessed. Basically, what I've decided to do for now is, instead of having a fixed UI widget over the client's screen that always basically updates whenever you possess a new character, instead I've decided to just have the character itself take care of spawning the UI for the player. The purpose of that is so that, for example, different characters could have different UIs. So we can take a look at this function which is inside the player controller for now. And you can see that we have a temporary functionality here where we just spawn a fixed UI and give it the necessary references to communicate with the right actor. In the future, obviously, it would be nice if the character itself could have the class of what UI it wants to spawn, so that we can just have, if needed, different UIs per character. But that's just the setup that I have for now. So if you think about it now in context of the game, basically the battle manager, which we'll talk about in a different video, spawns all the characters, initiates a round, and when initiating a round, what it does is basically it knows, for example, that this character should have its turn next. So it looks for which player controller is in charge of that character, and then it just lets that player controller possess this character. And that's how the client, where that player controller is local, will have the battle UI displayed. So continuing this chain of events, let's take a look at the battle UI. You'll find that we just have again a few temporary buttons here that now pop up. If we look at the logic inside, all it does is basically when you click, for example, the attack button, which is the only one that currently works really, it will take the character reference that we gave it in the player controller before, I think I showed you, and that will, through that character, call any attack ability that that character currently has. So here we're back to the BP entity base class for all characters, and that will attempt to call any ability with the attack tag on it. And if we return now to the BP player class, which is again the base class for all players, you'll find that the class defaults for the default abilities, there's 3 of them, include attack, heal, and death. Now the attack ability basically has that gameplay tag attached to it, which means that when in the UI clicking the attack button, that this ability will be called. And so the chain continues, and from here on we just have a regular gameplay ability where we have where we start a task in which we give the player the opportunity to choose the target. So at that point we commit the ability, then we apply the damage gameplay effect to the enemy target, which in this case is set to subtract 20 from the enemy's health. And after that we send a gameplay event to the same target actor. You'll see in a second what this does. And last but not least, we get the current character, the one that has attacked, and we call basically the end turn function, which broadcasts the on end turn event dispatcher, and then we end the ability. So with that done, basically this tells our battle manager to go to the next character. That will unpossess the current character, which will again remove the UI from the display and show the next UI on whosever screen it needs to be. And then just to quickly explain this here, all characters also have the death ability, and this one is triggered using the damage gameplay event. And so here we have just this gameplay ability that when it's called, it will quickly check if your health is really 0 or less. If not, nothing will happen. But if you are basically supposed to die, then that will just call the death function on the character, which is forwarded to the battle manager to be handled there basically. So that's all we have so far. It really is very rough, to be completely honest. I see lots of little issues here and there. For example, I feel like it's not a great idea to have to call the damage event in the ability. This would be nicer to have in the damage causing effect itself. I suppose this should really be called whenever the health attribute itself is changed. So I'm not quite sure yet how or if you can implement that there. But of course, if you know the answer, go ahead and let me know below. Furthermore, there's a couple of things I'm just not sure about yet. For example, whether this whole architecture will work out in multiplayer, and also whether I'll be able to sort of save and reconstruct the state of this ability system in the next round. Because you have to think that when the battle ends, the characters despawn, and the world kind of moves to the next stage where the characters spawn in again. And so that would completely reset the entire character and remove all abilities and all effects and all and reset all the attributes. So that's of course not what I want, and I still have to figure out what the best way to approach it there is. In particular, I would be interested to know whether it would make more sense to, for example, implement this entire ability system in the game state, or perhaps in a player state, or just to leave it in the actor. But in that case, I would have to sort of extract the state information at the end of the battle, save it in perhaps the game state, and then write that back into the new gameplay ability component. So it's all very tricky. And yeah, thinking about it, the player state is actually not a very good idea, because that is of course bound to the player controller, but a player controller could be in charge of multiple characters, and that would obviously not really work out. But then again, when thinking about having them all in the game state, I don't even know if you can have multiple ability system components on one actor, because you would also have multiple attribute sets on that one actor, and I don't see a point where you actually assign the ability set, the attribute set to this component. So I see how that would quickly get messed up, and I simply don't know at the moment what the right way is to do there. So I know it's a bit of a confusing video with lots of technical details, but I hope you enjoyed the insight, and I would greatly appreciate any comments from those of you who know more about this. I'm looking forward to learning together with you, and I'll be sharing any updates in this regard. And also regarding all the other systems, I'll be making more videos giving you insight into those as well. And as such, slowly but surely we'll make progress and hopefully create a very interesting and fun to play game. So that's where I'm at. Thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you in the next one.